The roof is damaged by something, by hail, wind, whatever it is, right? And the interior has water damage, or it could be a tree that fell on the roof, whatever the problem is with the roof. But there's water damage to the inside that came into the building through the roof, or it could have been, a window or some other means. But for some reason, the insurance adjuster sent out by the insurance company is not wanting to pay for the interior damage. Like, they're saying yes on the roof. They're saying, yeah, we see that the roof is damaged and needs to be replaced, and we're approving that. And we see the interior water damage, but the water damage is not approved. And they're saying because the water didn't get in there from the roof damage. This problem is so common. This scenario, it happens a lot. Like, I've had this happen to me so many times throughout my 23-year career, and it's very common. I'm here in Orlando, Florida, the Sunshine State. I just did my live training event this past Friday. It's Monday now. And, Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Where's the time flying? They had 70 people show up for that. 120 in Houston a few weeks before that. 86 in Dallas, where we kicked it off, the tour this time. And a lot of people are asking me, like, well, what do you even do at these events? And I want to plug that real quick before I get into the topic of the video, because I really don't plug it a lot. One guy told me the other day, because I didn't even know you were having these events, because you don't say anything about it, like on your Facebook, or you don't do a lot of videos. I do some marketing for it, but I don't try to promote it a ton. I don't go on and on about it. So what it really is, it covers inspections, estimates, and supplements. It's a one-day, all-day training session. It starts at 9 o'clock, check-ins at 8:45. Next up is Atlanta, 2 Fridays from now. And I'll put a link down there so you guys can get some tickets to that. Or wherever else. The next after that is Nashville, and then Columbus. Believe it or not, Columbus is going to be like one of the biggest groups. And nothing warms my heart more than that, because that's my home state. That's just like, I'm so moved by that. But so we cover a lot all day long. There's lunch that's included, really good lunch, by the way. That's big buffet lunch, and people usually love that. And so far it's been pretty big groups of contractors. Sometimes there'll be like PAs there. I've had insurance adjusters show up. There's been like people from like critter control, pest control type companies, mitigation companies. Have had attorneys show up. Had 2 of them in the last one, and that's always good, because you can kind of get make sure I'm on the right track sometimes, get them to back me up a little bit. Same thing with the adjusters. But you know what it is more than anything? It's an all-day hardcore content dump. That's what it is. It's like coming out of a fire hose all day long. That's what it is. There's so much that we cover in that short period of time. It really is a short period of time. And so far, 5 o'clock comes and I still have stuff that we're in there talking about till 6:30 sometimes. And, it's just been incredible. I have people lining up at the little breaks asking questions. We have a lot of Q&A throughout the day. So that kind of dictates how the meetings go sometimes. I get a gauge of who's in the room and who they are, and a lot of questions come in, and that'll change directions. I bought tickets to 9 Dave Matthews concerts this year. I already went to the first 3 that he kicked off, and then I'm going to catch back up with him in September. But what an extreme thing to do. Midlife crisis, maybe? I don't know. I've never done anything like that before. But one of the reasons why I did do it is because actually every one of his shows that he does is different. Like, you can go one night and then go the next night. It's a totally different show. Like, he plays different stuff. So for the most part, my events are the same. Like, I have the same agenda that I cover, like the same roadmap, if you will, for the topics that I want to get through. However, it seems to go off on side streets, you know, and I tell them, just follow the bouncing ball, because I'll get back to the main route. And then these questions come in that take it in all sorts of different directions, and it makes it difficult to actually complete all of the content that I aim to complete before the end of the day. So anyway, that I've been doing those events. Please come and join me, meet with me personally. I'd love to meet you. I just enjoy hearing the stories from different contractors and what they're doing in their markets, and they have all these scenarios that they bring with them, and we cover these things, you know. In Orlando, it's really tough because you have these contractors here, Florida contractors. Licensing is very strict, and you know, if you're a general contractor, you have to use a licensed roofing contractor to do the roof if you're not also a licensed roofing. And it's very, very complicated. Lots of inspections on all projects, and you know, there's a lot of people down here that were using appraisals in that meeting. And I actually was looking at this release form that they said that these insurance companies were making their clients sign. And it was basically saying, you know, you cannot go get any more money for anything. Even if there's new damage discovered from this particular claim, then we're not paying for it, because this is the last money that we're paying. So in consideration of this sum, if you take this money, there's no more money coming for any reason. Supplements, nothing. Anything else comes up, you get no extra money. And I'm looking at this form, and they didn't tell me that it was an appraisal form. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what is, I'm looking for the wording, looking for the way out of it. And then I said, is this an appraisal? And the guy's like, yeah. I was like, oh man, this just proves what I'm talking about, you know? That's one thing about appraisals. You only get one bite at the apple when you get to that settlement time frame. You know, for me and my approach, I have as many bites of the apple as I need, you know. The contractor, in my opinion, if you haven't caught what I'm all about, has more power on these insurance claim projects than anybody else associated with it, in my humble opinion, okay? Because the things that you can do in the contractor lane that don't involve policy and coverage, I'm not an advocate of so-called insurance proceeds model, okay? That's not what I teach. Now, I am an advocate of, you know, doing the job, like you perform. The reason why you're hired is because you perform all repairs that are prescribed by the insurance company for the total replacement cost value amount. I've never been about insurance proceeds. That's different. You go for the insurance replacement cost value amount. So no matter what type of coverage they have, whatever their deductible is, no matter how much depreciation it is, your price is still the replacement cost value. Okay, that should be the retail value, in my opinion. So, yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on out there, you know, about doing things different ways. If it's working for you, don't fix it. So, into the topic of my video, and sorry I took so long to get there, but hopefully I provided some value in there for you, is, okay, the insurance adjuster denies the interior water damage after approving the exterior damage. What they're saying to you, and you've got to understand that, again, I don't want you ever talking about, if you're a contractor, talking about policy or coverage with an adjuster. They're going to talk about that with you, but it's just going to get you bogged down because you can't discuss that stuff. It's not something that you're allowed to discuss. It's out of bounds. And sometimes, you know, that sometimes they don't even realize that you're not allowed to discuss it, and they'll try to draw you in, not realizing that you're not. Sometimes they'll try to draw you in because they realize that you're not allowed to talk about policy and coverage, right? So one of the things, though, with policy and coverage, if you kind of have to have a basic understanding of many of the pillars that are involved in these situations. And sometimes you learn that just by coming across things, through experience. That's how I've done it. But the concept of the phrase, if you will, wind-driven rain, okay? Wind-driven rain, that's what they're saying to you. They're saying that water damage inside of the building was not caused by wind-driven rain, all right? And what is wind-driven rain? Wind-driven rain is essentially an opening in the roof, okay, that was created in that roof that allowed for the water to get inside. And so for this scenario, it would have to be wind-driven rain that was caused by the same source, the same cause. It happened from the same cause of loss that caused the roof damage. So if it was a hurricane, the opening in the roof that allowed the water to get in came from the hurricane, or a tornado, or hail damage, or roof fell on top of the building, it created an opening in the roof, and it could be window also, or other areas, but allowed for the water to get in. All right, so solution to this problem, it's an easy solution. I'm never going to lose the coverage or the money from this type of scenario. I'm just not. I'm always going to be effective with this. Like, if not always, extremely high percentage of the time, I'm going to be just fine when this happens, okay? So what you need to realize first and foremost is everybody has incidental water damage coverage, right? I mean, down here in Florida, they have like caps on water damage claims that are like at $10,000, and I have to learn more about that because it's been a while since I've done just a straight water damage claim. I've done hurricane claims. It's different because it's usually an opening that was in the roof, a wind-driven rain, right? And there is no cap on that amount, the water damage that was caused from that. But if it was just water damage, like from a dishwasher, or if it flooded or a pipe bust in the in the wall, then a lot of times they have a cap for that. But in any situation, that being the only exception that I really know of, all across the country, okay, most people, there's not a cap, up to the policy coverage. There may be other provisions in that, but they have water damage coverage. Okay, so like if your sink bust and overflow, whatever, the water comes in, say you're not in the home and something breaks, some kind of pipe in your house, like the washer, dishwasher, whatever it is, it breaks and causes water damage to your entire floor and hardwood floor and all kinds of other stuff and furniture. Guess what? That's all covered. And it's actually not as expensive for you as a typical wind damage claim, because typically on these wind damage claims in most areas, the deductible is made up of a percentage of the policy amount, or the property, somewhat close to the property value. It's like 1%, 2% sometimes even 5% of the policy limit. That's what the deductible costs, many thousands of dollars usually. Whereas a water damage claim is usually $500 flat fee. It's usually a flat fee of some kind. Sometimes it is a percentage, depending on the different type of policy that it is. But typically, it's actually a flat fee. That's all it is. It's a flat fee, and sometimes it's even $250. It's like $250, $500, or $1,000 usually. Most of the time, in my experience looking at those types of claims, that's what the deductible is, okay? And how does it have to happen for them to get the coverage for that? It doesn't really matter. I mean, if there's water damage inside the building, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they have to come up with a cause of loss. Now, there is this caveat, like, sometimes you might see like really, really old water damage inside of a building. Maybe it's a commercial, building, an old church or something, right? And you'll see like where water has been leaking down the side of the wall or in the roof, and it's got dark spots. You can tell it's been there for a long time. So then the key is, did the water damage occur, inside of the covered period? Meaning, like, was it a long time ago? Was it more than a year ago? Sometimes they have up to 2 years. If it was a really long time ago, then that's one thing, and that might be what sticks out in your mind right away. But let me ask you a question. Is it still leaking now? Like, is there still water running down that wall or in that ceiling now? So what you see is new water damage happening, but it's just running on top of old dark spots that's been there for years, right? Like that's still water damage that's occurring now. So that's covered. That's covered, okay, for a flat fee. So getting back to the adjuster that denies the interior water damage, maybe they say it, maybe they don't, but what they're really meaning, they're intending there, is that it's not covered because there's no wind-driven rain. There's no openings in the building that was caused by the same cause of loss, and therefore the interior water damage is not covered. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that's not, that's actually indeed true. Chances are it's probably not true. Where'd this water come from? I mean, I would ask the client, when did you start seeing these water spots? If they say, well, after the storm, duh, then you know pretty clearly that the adjuster's wrong about that. And so what you need to do in any event is do a very, very thorough inspection. Like, get up in the attic if you can. Do your very best to trace the origin of that water, to trace the path that it followed. So if you can get up there in the attic, you can a lot of times see staining on the undersides of the decking, on the rafters. You'll see water spots, like water trails where the water ran and dripped. And that's what you need to be looking for. If you can do that, then you could probably trace it right to where it actually came into the roof. And then that argument's done from the adjuster, okay? So, but what I would also do, like something I would do first, is educate the client. And I'll tell you why that's important. That's actually going to be crucial and essential, that you educate the client first about all of these things that I'm talking to you about, so that the client knows that they have the coverage for water damage in any event, and make sure they understand what wind-driven rain is. And give them a disclosure that you're not a policy expert and you can't advise them on policy. And you also cannot tell them to file a claim. That's another thing. Like, a lot of people are telling their clients to file a claim and advising them to file claims, and some are even helping them file claims. Some are even getting on the phone and doing it for them. That's a no-no. Like, that's something you're not allowed to do. I'm not going to get bogged down in this video and go crazy with that, but that's something actually you're not allowed to do. So you need to be pretty careful about how you word things. Like, you can't say, what I would do is file another claim, because that's what they need to do, okay? They need to file another water damage claim to get that covered, and then the worst risk there is another deductible, which that deductible would be smaller than the wind damage deductible, because it's a smaller flat fee, right? So a way that I might word that is, listen, many of my other clients, when they're faced with this situation, what they've done is they've filed an additional water damage claim. You can word that differently, but what you need to understand is that the client's plan? Is their plan, if they get shut down for for the interior damage because of wind-driven rain, will they go ahead and file another claim for water damage? If you know that for sure, then this is why that comes in important, why it comes into play. Because then I would talk to the adjuster, like when they start going down that path, and I would say, oh, okay, so you're saying there's no opening, I guess, on the roof. Well, I think there might be, and I can go and, show them what I found, as far as how it traces in, because you're allowed to identify damage, you're allowed to document the damage, all of that, right? Without talking about the policy and coverage. But I'd show them that. I'd try to win that fight, but I would also tell them, like, look, just between you and me, I talked to the client about this issue, and you might want to go talk to them, because I believe that they're just going to, like, if you don't approve that, they're just going to file a water damage claim. That's what I've been advised. So I think you're kind of wasting your time, and that I'm telling you, that typically works. And if they won't approve it after proving to them that it is wind-driven rain, right, then your client just has to simply file another claim, and then guess what? It's covered. I see this a lot on commercial deals. Big time, a lot of times, a lot of churches. I see it a lot on residential deals too. One of my best friends called me up the other day, yesterday I think, or maybe it was Sunday, and asked me about this very deal, this very scenario for a commercial situation. And he and I talk a lot, and he's been through my training course, and he's been to my stuff, and we talk a lot. And I can't believe he was surprised too that we've never discussed this before. And I thought, man, I have to get that into a video right away. I have to get that into a video because, I'm sure with as many times as I've actually faced that, I'm sure a lot of people, face that. And I think I've probably talked about it before somewhere on videos. I'm pretty sure it's in my training course. I might have to check that too, because that's important. I think anybody that's working in this space needs to hear about this and needs to know how to combat it when they come across it, because it's not that severe. And I imagine that there's a lot of you who are watching this who have missed out on a lot of interior damage that you tried to get covered for your client, but that's the path that they went down, and you didn't know how to get around it, and so it just stood. And I can only imagine how many people like that who aren't watching this are going through the same thing. So, man, I just want to do my small part to help with that. I hope it does. And you know what? I have all kinds of ideas and stuff going on in my head these days. Like, I'm in a good place in my head. If you can't see something different about me, this is a new version of myself. I'm in a different place in my mind. I have a chip on my shoulder, just from all the people that didn't believe in me, that talked crazy about me and whispered about me behind my back and told people to stay away from me and just things like that. Maybe you've gone through something similar in your life and where just people didn't believe in you, and they just really just thought you'd be nothing but a failure. I mean, gosh, that stuff drives me, man. It gets me going in the morning. It shouldn't, right? Maybe that's unhealthy for me. It maybe should not be that way, but it literally drives me because success is the best revenge. And I'm on a nonstop mission to try to do that. I haven't talked about this. I've been separated from my wife for about 10 months. Looks like we're going to go through with a divorce. And that jacked me up pretty bad there for a while. I went through 2 years of what I would describe as grief, lots of crying and just seeing my world come apart, but it's because I finally believed that that's the way it was going to go. And I've been married 21 years, so that's hard for anyone that's been through that or is going through that. I think we're going to end up in a good place, because we have a daughter together, and I think we'll make it, we'll make it work for her. And for me, I think it's better, I think it's going to be a better situation. And I've been just coming to terms with that, really, and with my life and, and my future. I'm somewhat of I've got a bug on my ear, it keeps messing with me. I'm somewhat of a loner, if you can't tell. One thing about these events, if you come to my events, it's just me. I had my daughter help me on one, and I'll have her help me on more. She's almost 13, and that she helped me on the one where we had 120. Thank God. She was a big help too. But there's nobody else there. There's not a team there, trying to that helps me set it up. There are no sponsors. I don't even allow sponsors. I've had a lot of inquiries for sponsors. But I feel like if you spent, money for a ticket to show up to these things, then you shouldn't have to be sold anything else, from anyone else. I just want to give you content and give you value and substance and just try to, these older people that come sometimes that are older than me, I'm almost 45, they a lot of times say, and some of my age to say this, I came because if I could just learn one thing that I can add to my arsenal. These are the smart guys, right? A lot of other people are skeptical. They feel like they can't be taught anything new, and sometimes their boss made them come, but these older guys, they get it. And I aim to do just that, right? But not just one thing. I want to give them many new things, as many new things. I'm desperate to provide them with value when they come. I really am. I am so passionate about it, what I do. I think it's part of my purpose. People tell me as recently as an hour ago, guy told me I changed his life when he came to my event. That was back in 2019. And he's doing big things. Shout out to Christopher Freeman. You are doing big things, man. You're going to be building skyscrapers. I know you are. But much love for that too, man. That's more important than any amount of money, to hear things like that said about you, or to you. And anyway, so I've been fighting through that, and I'm actually on the other side of the pain from that situation that I've been going through. But there for a while, it kept me quiet. Many of you wondered, where have you been? What have you been doing? I've still been posting and doing things, but I just haven't felt, I haven't felt good, about putting out my content, and just haven't been in the right mode to put out videos, even though I know I need to. Like, people need it. And so I've been working through that, and I believe I've mostly worked through it, and I'm in a real good place in my head right now. And but I haven't ever put this out there anywhere on social media or videos or anything about that situation, mostly because I don't want to embarrass her. She's not ready to talk about it probably, and she may not even know that I said this on a video. I don't know. I didn't tell her I would, but I'm not going to do like a social media post or anything. We've been mostly keeping things quiet. But listen, it's more than anything, I just want to be myself. I want to be myself. I want to be free to be exactly who I am. I want to be me, the real me, like my authentic self. So anytime I do these videos, I'm really, I'm so hard trying to just be myself, and I'm really rough around the edges in a lot of way, and I want to be more. I want to show you more of that, because that's really who I am. And so, if I'm going through that in my life, I don't want to carry on like I'm this happily, married family man, like I once was, because that's not the way it is. It's not the way it is. So I just want to be real. I want to be authentic. And I don't need to get into all the issues. That's nobody's business. But it's just two people that are growing apart, really, having differences. And it's too difficult for us to put those together, it seems like. So, but other than that, I don't need to go any further about that. I just wanted to just share with my channel if you care, if you even made it this far in the videos. I know a lot of you actually do care and are really loyal subscribers and followers, and a lot of you, I don't even know who you are. I wish you'd comment so I could find out. I love hearing from you guys, man. I'd love hearing about what you're doing, what kind of work you do, and what part of the country you're from, and how this has impacted you, like my content of any kind. It's more important to me than money. I think that's another important thing that I've learned in life especially over the past like 5, 6, 7 years, is that, my younger years, I just always chased money all the time. I just chased it. That was the most important thing, like the job I was working for, getting to the next check. And too many times, man, I worked myself to the bone. Like I worked, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I just missed so much of life, throughout those years. I just missed life. Like I'm in Orlando right now, and I'll be in Atlanta, and I might be in Colorado, who knows, Ohio, wherever I am. I travel around, and I actually stop, and I know it's cliche, but I do stop and smell the flowers. I get out and about and experience nature. I spend a lot of time reflecting and strategizing, having that clear space in my mind, and it's not about the money anymore. It's about the mission. It's about the passion. It's about what I'm actually working on. Building something. It's not about the money that it'll make. The money just has a way of really following. It seems cheesy, like you hear that and you don't believe it. I don't know if I believed it when I used to hear that all the time. I wish I would have believed it, because it's so true. Anyway, I wanted to make this video a little earlier because it was cooler, and now I'm like, you can just see I've been sweating to death in this video because now it's getting hot. And the coolest thing about this hotel that I'm staying at right now, like I found this like awesome little path on this sidewalk. It's like the best kept secret about this place. shade, and then it changes like 20 degrees. As you can tell, I like the outdoors. I'm outdoors all the time. And you know what? I freaking love my life. I love my life. I can't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm having the time of my life, and where I've been, like I've been to the gates of hell and back. And man, I've been through trauma in my life. I have, so if you think I don't know anything about real life, I do. And maybe you do too when you're watching this and you've been through a lot in your life, and maybe you're wondering if you can get through whatever you're going through now, and if there's another side of it. I mean, I've been through dark days where I didn't see myself standing here in sunshine with this beautiful background and landscape and beauty and love and happiness, a smile on my face. I'm healthy. It's just those things, the trauma that I've been through and mistakes that I've made, and just dwelling on my failures. My biggest enemy is myself, and fear of what, right? I've been getting through that these last several years, really growing up and learning to not sit there and live with so much regret. Instead, I'm really learning to be grateful for those experiences. Experience matters. And I think some people wish they had my story at this point. You can't buy my experience, the good or the bad. And also, as far as my industry experience, 23 years. There's nothing you can do to get that kind of experience unless you actually earn it. You can't buy it. Some of these cats with big mouths in my industry that run around and talk crazy about other people that basically just showed up to the industry, pipe it down a little bit, man. You need to tone it down, because you're going to regret that one day. Just like I do when I was a younger guy. Thought that I knew it all and I was the smartest guy in the room. You don't know jack yet. You don't. You need to put in the time and earn it. Keep grinding, ladies and gentlemen. Keep winning. The Practitioner from Orlando, Florida.